Hello, hello. My name is Reese. I want to do a little video today about the week 10 discussion in Introduction to Scripting that is related to the integration of Python and JSON and how it enhances the handling and analysis of security data. So I wanted to do a little project for this discussion, and what I decided to do was try to use JSON to hold some keys for some APIs, and then encrypt those keys with Python, and then have a program that decrypts the encrypted JSON file using a key generated by the cryptography Fernet module, and then use that to access some cybersecurity related API services that give you responses in JSON. So it's all JSON. Going around looking, I went to this website here, which gives a massive list of all kinds of APIs and whether or not they're free. And most of them have Python support. And as we'll see, even if they don't have built-in Python support, it's kind of, you can still use Python to get to it. We'll go over that here in a minute. So looking through all these, I wanted to find at least 2 APIs, because that's, using one to plug into the other and having a JSON file with keys makes more sense if you have at least 2 keys. So what I found was this one called iep2location.io, which it gives you a key, and you can make a request to get information from in the form of a JSON file. Something I noticed about the information that it gives you is that it includes latitude and longitude information. And coincidentally, I found another API called Windy API that can access online active webcams using latitude and longitude data. So I figured, well, that's kind of nefarious, So that being said, I figured I had to make a little project about it. And I'm going to walk you through the code real quick, and the usage of the API, the encryption of the JSON file that has the keys, show how this program reads the decrypts and can use that JSON information given the key, and how it interacts with these APIs. We'll do a demonstration of sorts. Okay, so first I'm going to make a program to encrypt the file and generate a key. So that uses JSON, cryptography, Fernet. I make a variable using the Fernet module. It generates a key automatically. So this is a key. I then create a cipher using that key. I give the data, which is the I've replaced this with gibberish, but it's the key information in JSON format. So for our IP location API service, we'll call it IP location. For our webcam service, we'll call it webcams. We've got that key information in there. We're going to turn that into a iterable JSON object, and then we're going to make a variable that takes the cipher, which is using this key. It's going to encrypt that data, and then we will write that encrypted data out, and then we'll write the key out. Okay, so what that results in is me having 2 files. There's a key, and this is the key, and this needs to be, ideally it needs to be like saved somewhere in some kind of locked encrypted vault or something like that. And we have the encrypted data here, which it's not readable. It's without the key, it's useless. Okay, so ideally what we would do is just completely delete this whole program. We don't need it anymore. Okay, because we generated the key and everything like that. So now here's the main juice. Okay, so we're going to import JSON so that we can mess with the JSON files, have this cryptography thing back in so that we can decrypt and utilize the API keys, and we're going to import requests so that we can touch the APIs and use their information. With this strategy, the keys themselves are never really in the clear, and so that's a lot stronger of a security measure. So we're going to open that key file. We're going to make a cipher of it, and then a cipher is used for encryption and decryption. So use that same cipher to we're going to open the encrypted file, and then we're going to decrypt the encrypted file with the cipher. So the cipher, if you have a key that encrypts it, then that same cipher can then decrypt it. So then we get that JSON, and then what we can do here is we can make variables. Now that we've got our decrypted JSON, and now we can make variables that are the keys themselves. So this variable, because we're accessing the key, the IP location, so what this variable is a string of the value of this JSON. And this is an important aspect that we will see later. We can make variables that are the values of JSON keys, and that's very useful. So then we have, we're going to ask for input, what IP do we want to search, and then we're going to, this is a, basically for, this basically just gives you, you know, what you need. These APIs, a lot of them are very easy to use. We're just making a simple get request, and we're defining the payload, which involves the key, which I'm using the variable. So it's not in the clear. I mean, it's kind of in the clear right there, but I don't really care. And here it's not in the clear, so we're putting that variable in. The IP will be whatever IP we input here. Format will be JSON. We're going to make a request to this API server with the payload as parameters, and then we're going to JSONify the incoming response so that we can, you know, iterate on it and do what we're doing right here, which is, you know, if you just print out the result, it's a big JSON file, you know, and there's a, I think, see, yeah, you can look at the response. This is what kind of response that you would get, you know, and that includes latitude and longitude. So that's the values that we want. So the same thing that we did up here, the making a variable based on the value of a JSON key, we will do here, latitude, and we have to make it a string here because we're about to concatenate this into a URL later on. And then the JSONified result, we want what exists in the latitude key, which is going to be the latitude, and same here, and the radius. And that's just going to ask for an input, what radius do you want to implement. That is related to this next API, which is this WindyCam, whatever. It looks up webcams. And you look at the documentation to see how you want to do it. Okay, now it only provides a, it's not exactly copy-paste like the other one is, because it is curl, which isn't exactly the same as Python, but it's still doing a basic GET request, and it's taking a header parameter. And if you try to just go here without the proper headers, it'll say missing the headers. So that's how you know it wants a header. So in Python, using the request module, you know, this is ubiquitous. We can make a headers thing, and we just kind of copy what this is. So it's going to accept the application in JSON, and then the Windy API key, and we're going to feed it that variable that we got earlier. And in this way, the key is not visible. You know, there might be some other places it's visible, but it goes beyond the scope of my understanding. Okay. So then we're going to, instead of just requesting, we're gonna make the URL a variable first, because we're gonna concatenate. You know, and straight in the URL, it takes the latitude, the longitude information, and the radius. And this is a flag include URLs. It's gonna give us a list of URLs. The request.get, and then we're gonna put in the URL variable, and headers will equal headers. Then we're gonna JSONify the response, and then here is a example response body. So it's a JSON file, but it's a little more complicated because you'll see that one of the items, webcams, is a list. And it's a list of, like, you know, it's a list of dictionaries, basically. So all in all, this is still JSON, but getting that information, because it's nested, takes a little more, it's a little different. So because we've JSONified the result, it's iterable. And so for cam in the webcams, because that's a top-level key, okay, so we can access that directly. But in the webcams, there is a subsection called URLs, in which has different, you know, it's another list. So we've got a list inside of or we've got a dictionary inside of a dictionary inside of the list. You know, it's all stackable and everything. But we want that provider. That provider is going to give us the URL to, like, the camera or whatever. And so we're going to print out, because we're in that webcam, then we're going to print out the URLs and the provider. Okay. And so let's give this a little test. And I'm going to search the 8.8.8.8. That's like Google or something. I'm going to do a 50, this is in kilometers. And then it gives us a list of URLs. And we can just find one of these, control click, and go straight to this website. And it gives us a URL, or it gives us a webcam that is within a 50-kilometer radius of the location of the IP.